Welcome to a new episode of our ESFORIN Change Makers podcast. The year is coming to an end and it's time to reflect. In our case, it's time to reflect on the changes in the energy market. After receiving such positive feedback on our Merry Megawatt review episode last year in December, we would like to make it a habit and share the podcast stage annually with our homegrown change makers. And this time I invited Christoph, our co-founder. Welcome.
Good morning, Tia. Hello, everyone. I'm very, very happy to be back on the Christmas episode of our Changemaker podcast. And first of all, I want to congratulate Tia, you to many, many, many very interesting episodes of the podcast throughout 2024.
Thank you. Dear Christoph, let's start. In order to give our audience a glimpse on what energy-loaded know-how they can expect from you in this episode, could you please briefly describe what ESFORIN does and what you do all day?
Well, in one sentence, I would say we keep the lights on and make the energy transition happen. Or as we framed it last week in a presentation in Finland, we BESS like a boss with all the batteries that we optimize and manage. No, seriously, what we do is we integrate renewables into the grid by making our customers' assets follow very short-term price signals. And by doing that, I think we make sure that the energy transition happens actually today, here and now, and not some point beyond 2035.
Let's dive into the power market. A lot was going on this year. Thousands of negative hours could be observed at the short-term markets, and even the technical maximum of 9,999 euros per megawatt hour was traded several times. A short advertising block from my side is hopefully excused. That figure was also traded by ESFORIN in June, if I'm not wrong. So, Christoph, why was there this wild roller coaster of price volatility in the intraday?
Well, on that specific day, I think it was a bottleneck on French exports that simply caused a very, very tough and close to blackout situation in the German grid. But that was that one specific day in early June. In general, I would say, well, we have around 70 gigawatts of grid peak load currently in Germany, and we already installed roughly 96 gigawatts of solar capacity. And that simply leads to a significant ramp up and down of solar with sunrise and sunset, and especially that obviously in the summer month. And the conventional fleet needs to back that ramp, which simply not always works out. And therefore we see extreme price events in tendency in the summer month, in the late afternoon, early evening. And in addition, even if the forecasting error of the renewables remains stable in percent, with an ongoing build out of renewables, we simply see more and more megawatt hours of forecast error, which we need to handle somehow in the system. And I think our customers and not lastly, ESFORIN with our platform, that's exactly what we do. We trade away the forecast error of renewables and therefore help to integrate them into the grid.
And how about 2025? What do you expect there? Is the volatility increasing?
Well, we see an increasing volatility throughout the last few years. And Germany is not an island. Our neighbors have an impact as well on the prices that we see in continental Europe. And us as Europeans, we build more and more renewables. And actually, not only Germany, our neighbors do so as well. And the counter effect of volatility would be handled by batteries, but that gap actually still opens up at the moment. So in general, we build more renewables as a continental European society than we build currently batteries. And that means, that the volatility is, from my point of view, going to increase. So I would expect some extreme price scenarios in 2025, and in general, quite a bumpy ride in short-term markets.
You mentioned, of course, flexibility marketing, but besides our company, ESFORIN, which technological innovations or business models in the energy sector impressed you the most in 2024? Of course, we had several podcasts also about lots of nice technologies, such as the last one with the Core Power Ocean. But were there any that you would reckon made a contribution to market stability, or, for instance, the realization of climate targets?
What a tough one. Well, I think there's many smart people out there with great ideas and innovations. Maybe not picking a single solution, but more an industry trend. I'm really impressed by the speed of the battery build out, and that's not only in Germany but actually globally. And it shows to me that there are many smart people out there willing to invest in sustainable technology and really willing to solve a problem now. And I think that's what impressed me most around the energy sector in 2024.
We just had a glimpse at the power market. And now, of course, whereas we are also not only working in the power market, but also in the gas market, the gas market has changed significantly due to the geopolitical events such as the Ukraine conflict. What could you observe concerning the gas market 2024 in Europe or globally?
Well, I think you mentioned already the geopolitical tensions, and I think it's global tensions that we in general see on the political landscape, and especially since summer, those tensions have been reflected in gas prices in Europe. And I think the expected termination of gas transit through Ukraine not only has pushed up gas prices in Europe, but we'll keep them at a relatively or comparably high level. And although LNG imports into Europe increase the security of supply, cost-wise, it means that Europe suddenly really is in a global competition, and not only for the marginal megawatt hours of gas supply to Europe, but really in size. So I see actually, that those geopolitical tensions, although they might not be necessarily directly in front of our door, they really have an impact on the economical situation in Europe.
So then let's have a short regulatory throwback as well. There was a lot going on in 2024. Just to mention a few: EU elections, consultation summer in Germany, grid fees, capacity market design, power plant strategy, US elections, and the German Ampel coalition collapse. Christoph, what are your expectations regarding the EU Commission or US regarding the development of the power prices?
Really tricky where to pick the start of that discussion. I think we could talk like an hour only around the regulatory impacts. Maybe as a general theme up front, I'm in general a big fan of markets, and therefore I would wish for any new legislation to be really market based. And to frame that in one sentence: more market, less subsidy, and less state-run schemes. Nevertheless, I think we have to see that we are in not only in global competition, but also within Europe. Regulatory schemes work completely different. So, for example, in Germany, battery storages don't need to pay grid fees, whereas in the Netherlands, they have to pay grid fees, which obviously has an impact on investment attractiveness. In Finland, for example, there's plenty of land and plenty of grid connection available for storage, whereas that really is a bottleneck in the UK, in Germany, and in the Netherlands. And I think we need to come up regulatory wise, especially for the battery segment, with some sort of mechanism to really make sure that we can connect enough batteries quickly to a rather tight grid, and to make sure that any, let's say, restriction or constraint that comes with the battery connection can be handled by the battery and by the battery optimizers in order to leave as much market value with the investor as possible. And in Germany, I think with the termination of the Ampel coalition, I would really like all democratic parties in Germany to agree on a general route, because I think the worst thing that can happen is 180-degree turnaround in whatever the political scheme and direction might be, because that simply creates uncertainty, and uncertainty is never a good idea to foster investments. So therefore, I think we need, whatever we do, some sort of reliable regulation going forward that really allows investors to take wise decisions, and at the same time, hopefully keeps the energy intense industry in Germany and alive.
What comes next then, in your opinion?
What comes next? Yeah, I think we maybe again a bit to regulation. The German regulator, the Bundesnetzagentur, with a focus now on industrial customers, they have just opened a discussion around incentivizing flexible behavior on industrial grid tariffs. And I think that's really a major change in mindset, not only of the regulator, but also of any industrial consumer affected by this, because it really is that 180-degree turnaround from we incentivize baseload consumption versus we incentivize to follow the renewable generation pattern with really large scale industrial demand. I think there is a lot happening. There's a lot happening on the residential side as well. So I've just seen, I think yesterday or the day before, a paper that allows private home storages to charge from the grid and to charge from your own residential solar, and to participate in markets. And that, I think, is a super flex booster with existing assets, just by taking away regulatory constraints in order to make existing assets that have already been installed, that have already been paid, really do something good for the market if they are controlled wisely and market-based. And I think that is a bit of a dark chapter in German energy market history, and looking a bit outside the German borders, really an embarrassing part of German energy market history, that we have simply not managed to get the smart meter rollout really live up and running to date. But I'm positive that this now has really been realized and addressed as well, and that we will see finally a smart meter rollout in size in the German residential market over the next few years, and that really helps to make the grid and especially the consumption smart, which is a good thing for a stable system in Germany.
Positivity is a great keyword, and I don't want to get too political today, but in February there are elections in Germany. What do you wish for the new government in Germany? So what needs to be done quickly now regarding the energy transition or energy economy?
I am not going to comment on any direct political party or so, but I think I've said it before. I think we need to agree on a certain general direction across all political parties, because actually, from 100% renewable to back to nuclear generation, that's quite a stretch in the general energy vision of political parties. I've said it. The problem is that uncertainty in general direction and uncertainty in regulation leaves potential investors in doubts about their investment chances. And the same goes for industrial companies in Germany, and actually for home storage owners as well, basically for everyone. So I think we need to agree, or we should agree, on a framework of direction and create really planning security in order to foster those investments in Germany. And while we do that, that's maybe the critical part now. I think we should really have a discussion in our society about the cost side of the energy transition. I mean, it's a very, very positive goal to aim for 100% renewables, but this comes at a certain cost. And we see it already. I've said earlier that we currently have 96 gigawatts of solar capacity being or built already in Germany, and we are aiming for 216 by 2030, which is laid down in the German Energy Renewable Act. And that means that we are not yet at 50%. So the not yet even 50% that we've built until today, that has been the cheap side, the easy 50%. Every additional capacity will come with more and more struggles to be really integrated into the grid properly, and therefore with higher systemic cost to integrate into the system. And I think, given still the results that we have following the COVID crisis, following the Russian-Ukrainian war and the impact on energy market prices, I think neither the German state budget nor industrial companies really are at the peak of their financial strength at the moment. And that's what I mean. We should really have a cost discussion around the energy transition. What do we really want? And actually, what can we afford? I mean, if we go 100% green in no time, and by doing that, potentially kill the German energy intense industry, we really have a GDP problem in Germany. And then a green society is, in the end, nothing really good. So there is a stretch and a conflict of interest potentially between a strong economy and a strong GDP, and a green and sustainable and reliable energy system. And I don't think that this conflict is a permanent one, but it might be one over time. So maybe we should really discuss around the speed of the energy transition, very, very short term, in order to re-strengthen budgets a little bit to make sure that everyone can really follow the way to a green and renewable system.
We all want a greener energy system.
Absolutely.
And the energy transition to happen as fast as possible. But there are also technical limits to that. I would totally agree. But there is a company that might help regarding with a solution to help integrate renewables. And not only the power markets develop very dynamic, also ESFORIN, the company behind this podcast, has developed enormously over the past year. Lots of new employees, new locations. What's going on at the moment?
Well, yeah, we try our best to help to solve the problems. But you're right. Yeah, we are in a very steep growth phase at the moment. Not only in staff, but also in geographies and in general business. So this year, I think we've extended our team by 25 people to a total of around 70. And we've added France, we've added Belgium. We are about to add Sweden and Finland to our active market coverage. So we have really developed into a European flexibility player. With German roots, but not longer necessarily a pure German company. And by adding more and more international people, we've changed the company language to English. I think that's one of the most obvious signs that we see within the company. So we are really, going abroad from a German perspective, going to be a European player. Yeah, and in addition to all those internal things, we've worked on our customer offering, obviously, as well. And I think we've built a real differentiator in the market by in-housing our auxiliary services offering. So we've pre-qualified with our own market identity as ESFORIN for the auxiliary services, and we've actually just pre-qualified our very first battery assets into our own auxiliary services identity. And without revealing too many details, a lot more there is to follow, and not only on the battery side, but also on industrial loads and in general on flexible loads, which leads to us being actually the only independent one-stop shop for flexibility optimization. And that's something that not only us as a management, but also the whole company is really proud of. I think the offering that we have is unrivaled in the European energy landscape.
Totally. And a testament to that is, of course, our recent nomination as the Optimizer of the Year regarding battery energy storage. And we nominated this year for the Global Cleantech 100. Lots was going on. So I'm also very looking forward to the next year. You already mentioned a little bit, but can we dive into that a little more? Does ESFORIN have a target for the year 2025 or perhaps even several?
Of course. I mean, not going into financial targets. That's something with our supervisory board. But as a vision target or a general growth ambition, yeah, as I said, we are on a clear path towards being not only a European player, but really the European market leader in flexibility optimization. And we want to obviously keep that leading market position in all the markets that we're active in, and especially across all segments of the flexibility space. And I think that is target-wise an ambitious, but realistic target for us for the coming years.
At this point of our interview, we usually ask for our guest's favorite change maker. But today, we want to deviate from protocol and leave you with a Christmas question from the interview. What needs Santa Claus to do to become your favorite change maker in 2020? Yeah, but regarding 2025, of course, in the matter of ESFORIN's business.
Yeah, you might can guess it already. I've said it a few times. I really wish for a stable regulatory environment which allows all of our customers to take wise investment decisions towards a greener and at the same time reliable energy system. I think if we can manage that, we've gone really a huge step forward.
Thank you very much for this energy loaded and also regulatory loaded interview. And we very much hope that you, dear podcast listeners, enjoyed our episode. And if you'd like to know more about ESFORIN, have a look on our website and meet us at the trade fair eWorld in Essen in February 2025. Or contact Christoph or myself directly via LinkedIn or through our ESFORIN website, of course. Until then, have a Merry Christmas time and energy loaded start into the new year.
Well, before I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and an exciting 2025, Tia, you just mentioned it. At eWorld 25, I think there is change going on as well from ESFORIN's perspective. For the first time ever, we will have our own booth at ESFORIN, which is quite an exciting development for the whole company. So we will be a lot more visible, a lot more present, and a lot bigger than you saw us over the last years. And we're very, very much looking forward to talking to many of you at eWorld. Thanks for having me, Tia. And now on to a hopefully rather calm and relaxing Christmas period. Enjoy the festive time. Thanks.